Yo, what up? This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go. Today, I have a special guest in the building, somebody that inspired this podcast, the reason I started this podcast, which is an honor to have you here. Would you mind introducing yourself to the people?
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? My name is Anthony Valadez. I am a DJ. I'm a radio host on KCRW, and I am a fan of you because you love what you do. That's me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
So how
I appreciate the emails that you've been sending me, and I see you hustling. I see you doing your thing, and I'm just very inspired by folks like you. So just want to get that out of the way.
Well, I'm inspired by you as well. I think I originally got introduced to you probably through the radio. I think I was driving home late one night, and you happened to be on the radio, and actually you kept me up all night just driving. So I appreciated that, and I just started following you from there and just seeing like a lot of the cool things you do. Ran into you in Venice once with my parents, and but when you started your podcast, and it was just so raw, and it was it just felt just natural and authentic. I was like, man, like this is what I want to do. So
yeah, I remember that time you stepped up to me with your family. That was really cool. But man, it's just I have access to a lot of creative individuals that I really respect, and there's only so much you can do with them on radio. Like being on late at night, I can't necessarily have them on my show. So I'm like, what can I do with these artists? And then sometimes I'm hanging with them. They're in LA. I'm like, like we have amazing conversations. We should be recording these conversations. And so I just kind of took it upon myself to start a podcast, and I would bring guests into KCRW, and I'd utilize their studios, and I'd have the artists come through, and we talk about life, and we'd grab a bite, and it allowed me to get to know these people that I respect on a deeper level. And it was a great time in my life, and it was at a time when people would say like podcasts really don't have a future, and nobody really saw the future in it. So it became my little vaults of good memories with creatives. And yeah, man, and like hearing that from you means a lot, because the feedback I got were from music heads that loved conversation and music. And when you think about where it's at today, it's amazing,
Yeah, no, I like when you first started because I still do music, but at that time I was really like trying to like just get my music out there. And I remember I hit you up and you hit me back, and I was like, that's so crazy. Like just, and I think I try to do that with mine as well. Just that human interaction of just connecting with your people and being there with them, like not above them, but being there with them. Like, I think that's really dope.
But what strikes me about you, and I think folks should know, like, I hope I'm not putting this out there, but like you started your podcast from an organic place. Like, you got people that are jumping into the podcast game now because of finances. Like they can make money, there's equity, and it's profitable, there's a return on investment. But like your story struck me because you use it to heal, to become a better person. And I feel like that's what we need more of these days,
I think with everything, it should be like that. Music, just, anything creative. Like, I think that side of the money taints it. Like, for myself doing music, that was one of the things that really messed me up, because I was using my music to express myself in ways that my words couldn't. And, having to do that and then feeling like I have to compete with what's on the radio or people telling me I don't sound a certain way, it was discouraging. Yeah. But something about this podcasting, I feel very fearless in doing it.
Yeah. Well, and also I feel like I've, in the past 5 to 10 years, I've worked in the business side of podcasting and digital streaming platforms, and I've learned why it's important to understand why it is a business. And it's like I don't understand how certain songs are on our radio, so rather than hate on it, I want to understand it. And now I understand it and I get it. But and the closer I get to understanding it, the more I want to support things that are more organic and more real and more personable. Because the deeper you get into that game, the more you find you got to give up creatively. Like you got to sacrifice certain things if you want to get, support from this institution. We don't like that. We need a structure. Like I like podcasts, like the way we just hit go. This is the way it should be. But when you work for a company, well, what's your beginning? What's your arc? What's your storyline? What's your tagline? What's this? And it's like, like it's become a formula.
Yeah,
And I don't like formulas. Like people, I really do feel like there's an audience that would appreciate you based off your non-formulaic ways and just being authentic and real.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What's your inspiration behind your shows though? Because you play some of everything.
Well, it's crazy now, man, because if you would have asked me that question 4 or 5 weeks ago, I would have told you, like, I love music. I'm a music fan, and I love to, music heals. Music, I play music for people. Like, first off, the most important thing that I'm learning is I don't play music for the music heads. I used to fall into that trap, and then you become super critical of yourself. I play music for somebody at home who has the day off and is tired of work. And if you can move that person, you've got a trooper for the rest of your life. But if
Yeah,
you ask me that question today, like that responsibility, like I was on the radio this weekend, man, and I was setting up the turntables, and I could truly feel the weight of the world considering the current situation with the pandemic, with the virus. And it's like, damn. And I started looking at Twitter, and people are like, yo, I can't wait to dance. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to play some dance music. And other people are like, yo, man, I can't wait to feel your tone and to just mellow out. And I'm like, damn, like, wait, like, and I'm thinking about these two spectrums, but I'm like, yo, but what do I want to do? And I'm like, I want to do both. So to me, radio's about peaks and valleys. You can take it up, but you got to bring it down. And you got to take it back up, and you're telling a story. And so
yeah,
to me, that's very important. Yeah.
that's really dope. That's really dope. And yeah, I saw you last night spinning some stuff, and you had the wrestling behind you.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like, because I've been watching a lot of Instagram lives and checking it out. Like I'll peep in, and it could be boring. Like I don't want to see a DJ's face for 40 minutes. I'm not trying to
Yeah,
look at you, look for records. Like I don't know. I feel weird saying it, but it's almost like entertain me, because
absolutely.
in the age of 2020, I have like a million different streams I could look at. I could go on the internet and look up. I love going to World Star Hip Hop. I love watching YouTube videos of Jake the Snake. Like I have a million things. I can watch Fiona Apple videos. Like entertain me. Like so.
Yeah,
Then what I do is I throw up a WrestleMania 1 on the projector, and I DJ it, and I'll watch wrestling matches while I DJ, and I'll let that dictate like what my next record is.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm visual. I'm visual like that.
I feel that. I do. I've been doing
Yeah.
karaoke on Tuesdays and Sundays on the Instagram. Cause I'm like, if I'm gonna go live, or I'm gonna do something, I want it to be something that people can enjoy, and people actually been like singing and joining in. It's a beautiful thing. Like,
So let me ask you a question. What's your favorite song to sing to?
you
What's your
said,
go-to song?
my go-to song, I have a couple of them.
Mm,
Usher, Nice and Slow. Um,
okay.
Frank Ocean, Thinking About You, and anything Stevie Wonder.
Oh,
I always go a Stevie Wonder song.
how do you do that falsetto though? Thinking about you. I've
I
done it and I've embarrassed myself.
I have fun and don't think about it.
Yeah. I was on IG Live last night, and I played, I forgot I had this record from Stevie. Something About You knocks me off my feet. I
Yes.
don't want to go. Oh my God. Like he's got like even the B-sides are like dope. I saw him play at the Hollywood Bowl. This guy went on for like 3 hours, hit after hit after hit after hit. Like, God dang,
Yeah.
amazing.
I saw him at Taste of Soul one year. He
Mm,
showed up and they played My Sugar More.
mm.
And he came up, he was dancing to the song, and they gave him the mic. And it was crazy because he didn't seem like he was prepared to sing or anything, but he was just hitting the notes and everything. It was so beautiful.
I love that him and even Prince were like, I would DJ in clubs and Prince would always show up, and Prince was never too good to like jump on the stage and play an instrument. And like he would motion for like the bass player's bass or the guitar player's guitar, and they would just like they would take it off and give it to him. And he would like any kind of guitar bass, he would play. He was never too good. And same
Yeah.
thing with Prince, yeah, or Stevie. Stevie would show up and like he was never too good. Big or small, they would rock them all, and I love that.
And as you were saying that, somebody that I thought of that does that as well, DJ Quick. I saw
Mm,
DJ Quick at, I think it might have been a Dame Funk show. And
mm-hmm.
he came on stage and he just started playing some keys and stuff. And I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I think people sleep on Quick. I read a great article about DJ Quick, how he was talking about frequencies inside his studio, and like, he'll hear something that people won't hear. And he like knows, he's like, oh, it's that cooler or it's that refrigerator. And he knows, and he'll unplug it. And he's like, okay, the frequency is good. Like, he's very intricate in his thinking about frequencies and how things block energy from instruments. And I was like, whoa, I was blown away. New respect for him.
Yeah.
Man,
One
DJ
thing I
Quick.
wanted to ask you was how are you staying creative during this time? Because I see you still put out videos. I see you DJing. Like you said, you're on the radio. And like,
Yeah, man.
honestly, it was a little challenging to create like the first couple of weeks of this. Like I was just feeling really depressed. And I know a lot of creatives that I've been talking to have been like kind of mentally blocked. So I was curious to know what keeps you going.
It's funny, man. It's like, it's not funny. But it's, in my case, it's funny. I mean, the situation's not funny, but I told myself, like, I want to stay off social, like, because people are dying, like
Man,
10,000 people are like are dead in the United States alone at the time of this recording. Like, and I'm just like 10,000 plus now. And I'm just like, why am I on social? Why am I DJing? Why am I making videos? Like, the fact that 10,000 people in the US alone are no longer on earth that were here 3-4 weeks ago. And I just feel like, why am I doing this? And why I do it is because people like hit me up on social. People inbox me and say, I need this.
yeah.
And if I wasn't getting that, I would have stopped a long time ago, because I do feel the energy. I do feel the weight of the world. Like when I go into KCW and I'm in the studios, I have like 4 or 5 monitors, Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, local news, all like showing me numbers and like the death rate. And I'm supposed to be like, yo, what's up? We're having a good time. And it's hard. It's hard. And being at home too, it's like, I just get these ideas, man. And I'm like, yo, like, whoa, like, what if I threw Mobb Deep over Bill Withers? Like, oh, let me try it. And I'll try it. And then I'll be like, yo, like, I've never done video editing. So how do I make a cool video? Let me experiment. And I'm mastering video editing during this time. And I'll do all these different angles because, again, I need it to be creatively different than everything else out there. And then I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I should post it, because I have a lot of self-doubt. I'm very critical of myself. I'm like, all right, let me just put it out and see what happens. And then I'll drop it on my socials, and it just like takes off, and people are inboxing me like, yo, I needed that Bill Withers. And I'm just like, yo, like, it's like when you were listening to me that Monday night, right? Sometimes you throw the football and into outer space and you don't know who's catching it. Like, you caught it because here we are. And then people catch what I do and we build friendships. And I'm like, yo, like, I'm so glad you enjoyed that, because I wasn't sure if I should do anything with that. Because in the back of my mind, 10,000 people are no longer on earth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So I just get these ideas, man. And sometimes I get really funny ideas. And like, I don't know. I don't know. You have to find humor. And even in dark times, man, like I film a lot with my pup who's behind me, and like, he makes me laugh. And you gotta, this is no laughing matter. However, you have to keep on with routines. You have to find the humor in little things. Like, getting a dog has changed my life, because he's making me see the little things in life. And yeah, man. So I don't even know if I answered your question, but yeah.
You definitely did. And it's funny because that's how I feel about my students. We just started going back to teaching online. And I had my first class with 60 kids on a video chat, 60 kindergartners and first graders. And it was a mess, but it was fun because I had the opportunity to like see, like they just seemed so happy to see me. And that really inspired me. Like, it got me like, you know what? You have to, yes, feel what you feel, but also be strong for these people that are relying on you. And it's been pushing me to create content for them, create content for my friends, and just like doing things for other people has been giving me some fulfillment, which I feel like I've always done that, but consciously doing that now has really been pushing me. Like I've been doing the video editing as well, and like and feel like by the time all this is over, I'm gonna be a master of a couple of things.
For real, like, Scorsese better call me, because I can edit on my iPhone. So let me ask you a question. I'm curious. how is your role as an educator changed in all this? Like, have you had to explain this to kids, or have they asked you anything? How does that work out?
So prior to like the quarantining happening, we were kind of talking about it in schools, and like my kids, they were well versed in it. I asked them what they knew about it, and they pretty much were excited to give me the information and tell me about washing your hands and all this stuff. So they kind of know what's going on.
Yeah.
The death side of it, I'm not too sure. Didn't really
Mm.
talk about that, but just the awareness of like, taking care of yourself and distancing and stuff. They understand that stuff.
Mm.
And a lot of them are actually like taking time to like pick up, you know, skills and instruments. We had our class and I asked how many people were practicing instruments, and almost every kid that was on the screen pulled out either a guitar or a piano or a drum. And
Mm.
that just filled my heart, because it's like, man, adults are struggling right now, and these kids are just like, finding ways to not have to deal with this. And like I said, it inspired me, like, okay, I need to find ways to
Mm-hmm.
deal with this as well. So, we all get those opportunities to learn from each other. So just as much as like I'm trying to give them and learn from them, I like teach them, I'm learning from them as well. So yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely understand what's going on.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring that up too, because I find that the people that I've turned to in life, like certain folks that I like, like trainers and things of that sort, are turning to me. I'm like, wait a minute, like I thought you had your stuff together. Like I thought you were mentally strong, and I'm learning that like, yo, like we're all going through it. And then I find myself having to give them words of encouragement. Like I pay these people like, I don't know, like $100 a month to like for guidance, and it's like having your therapist come to you and say, what do we do? And you're just like, wait, what? Like you no, like I need you to be strong. And it's a lesson in life, because like it's like I was drawing this parallel and connecting dots. Like when my grandfather who raised me, he was like the rock, not the wrestling rock, but he was like the rock of growing, and he was like my rock. And then as he got older, I became the rock. And then I had to like change his diapers, and I had to like make sure he was good, and I had to like carry him. And it's that whole thing of the shifts of roles. And I really do feel like our generation is going to be really amazing and spiritually. I think this is a spiritual reset, considering we saw 9/11, we lived through Michael, Prince, Bowie, and now a pandemic, and we're still young enough to like move. And like, what's next? I don't know, but we're going to be a strong generation.
Yeah, that's and it's funny you say that, because that's what I've been telling my friends from college. Like, because we all live. I went to school in New Orleans. Like, we made it past Katrina. So we're gonna
Katrina.
yeah. So we're gonna make it past this, and the way to do it is like through all of us just connecting with each other. Like I've definitely been putting forth more effort into making the video calls or setting up the group for everybody to join, or
Mm.
just whatever I think that I can do, I'm doing it, because we can't all just sit around and wait.
Yeah. I was in I think I've been to New Orleans 3 or 4 times, and I went to the lower, is it the lower ninth ward, I
Yes.
believe, that got heavily affected. Yo, like, and I went to where the levees were at, and it's just so amazing. It's like you could feel the energy that was there. And it's crazy. Like one of my things, and I'm pretty sure they got annoyed by me, but like all my Uber drivers are like, where were you when Katrina happened? And just hearing their stories was like amazing. A lot of them went to Houston, or they went elsewhere. And I heard folks that were actually like affected physically. And it's so inspiring, man. And it's there's an eeriness, but then there's this calm, and there's like this rebuilding going on. And
Yeah.
the kids were so nice and friendly. And I take a lot of photos, and I let me take their photos. And it's just like, yeah, man, like if I can only imagine surviving that, man. Jeez.
And what's so crazy is, I was young. I had to be like 19 at the time, so I didn't take it that serious. I went to get a haircut. I just
Mm.
didn't take it serious. And then when me and my friends got on the road, we drove. So my parents live in Houston, so I went back to Houston. And Houston is normally like a 5.5 hour drive. It took us 15 hours to get to Houston.
Dang.
and we ended up going out and partying and stuff. And then like
Mm.
the next day, we saw New Orleans was destroyed and like
Mm.
underwater. My grandmother lived like a block from one of the places that they showed on the news. Her house was done, and just
Mm.
nobody was the same after that. You know, I saw my grandmother get old after Katrina, and yeah, it was tough, but at the same time, we got through it. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
looking at this like, yeah, we all are gonna get through this. We just have to just keep pushing.
But we are so spoiled too, because I feel like all we're being asked to do is stay inside. Like how hard, like yo, I'm watching like Tiger King and I'm doing push-ups and I'm making music, but yet the stuff that people in New Orleans went through, or even the Holocaust, or even people that are affected by
Yeah,
wars, and like all I have to do is stay inside. Like I have so much to be grateful for and thankful for, you know? So
yeah,
yeah, that's perspective for you, I guess.
absolutely, yeah, man. I definitely have been taking every day to just look at like, man, I'm here. You know, like it's a
Yeah.
be here. Been walking a lot more. I've been going on a lot more walks, and
Mm.
when I go on my walks, I pray a lot because I think about, my grandmother used to pray for me a lot. Just because when I was growing up, I had a really bad temper dealing with my own shit in life.
Mm.
When she passed, I thought about her telling me she used to pray for my temper because I don't have it anymore. So
Mm.
knowing that those prayers worked, I look at it like, okay, I have to pray for my friends. I have to pray for my family. I have to pray for the people that are out here doing things. And as I'm walking and praying, those prayers start turning into conversations with God.
Mm.
And that's kind of what's been helping me not feel so lonely during this time.
Really? That's interesting. I
Yeah.
find that I have conversations with my inner voice, and your inner voice can be a good thing or a bad thing. My inner voice is positive, like he or she or whatever it is, like will guides me. And there's also the shitty committee, which I just learned. The shitty committee is like, I want to go to the gym. And then there's that side of you that's like, nah, you should stay in bed. You should relax. That's the shitty committee.
Yeah.
And you want to have an inner dialogue with the positive voice, and you got to identify the shitty committee and push that out. But I mean, for you, like, I think that's beautiful. Like having a dog has allowed me to get to do more walking and being more
Yeah.
aware of plants and the sky and people. And it's amazing. I've been thinking like, moving forward after this, once this is all done, like how are we gonna still practice like distancing ourselves? Like, is that going to be in the back of our minds? Are we going to shake hands? Like, that could really have a profound effect on how we interact with one another, you know?
Yeah. I'm curious to see how it is as well. Cause I would say I do like to be around people a whole lot, and I do like to be
Mm-hmm.
affectionate and hug my friends or
Mm-hmm.
shake hands and stuff like that. And it's like, where do we go from here?
Yeah, it'll be interesting,
Yeah,
but who knows? Who knows? I mean, it's like I thought about like sex in the 80s, how, when AIDS came about, everybody was afraid, but then the 90s came and it was like we were right back to where we were at. And so I don't know.
yeah.
Human behavior is really interesting.
And the scary thing to me right now is people are still like and I guess just being a gay man and looking at what AIDS
Mm-hmm.
was during that time, which I wasn't around during that time, like living,
Mm-hmm.
but just knowing what that was and seeing now how people are literally just, you don't know how people are catching this, dying or whatever, and people still just being like, fuck it, like, you know,
Yeah,
you want to
yeah,
hook up, you want to host, and it's like, that is insane. So
yeah.
it's just interesting what it's pulling out of all of us, like positively and negatively. Like I've been laughing a lot, crying a lot, feeling a lot,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
Mm-hmm.
just tuning into those feelings.
Yeah, I don't know. I think some of us have always been in tune with those feelings, though. I'm pretty sure you
Yeah.
have, but it just gets amplified when you're kind of forced. Like I had a conversation with a friend last night. She had a great point. She was just saying how like we're forced to confront ourselves during this solitude, and I was like, "Yo, I never thought about that." Like, like we're forced to deal with ourselves. It's the mirror, and you're by yourself. So you're hearing the voice of reason, you're hearing the voice of God, you're hearing the shitty committee, you're hearing all these things, and
Yeah.
it's like, do you sink? Do you swim? What do you do? So
We're
yeah, it's heavy.
I feel like we're all on silent retreats right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love it. I mean, I've always been a hermit growing up. So like, this is nothing, this is like fun. I mean, I
Yeah.
know it's not fun for everybody though. Like my heart goes out to everybody affected, but like, I like reading and I don't know, I like being home alone because in my work, I'm always around people and I'm around people who have agendas, people who are like, yo, I want this song on the radio. You should play my band. And then I'm like, I'm DJing and people are like, you should play this song. And it's like, I've always been like, when I'm home, I turn all that off and, I'm very selective about what I do. And I like my alone time with my pup. And now it's like, it's alone time with your pup, you know? So I'm loving it, and I'm developing new kitchen techniques. Like I'm been developing some new sandwiches in the kitchen. I bought a coffee maker, and I bought a toaster oven, and I'm watching like old school. Like what did I watch? Bret the Hitman Hart against Macho Man last night. Like I'm
Okay.
just revisiting all these things that and I'm looking at things through a new lens, and it's
Yeah.
it's it's fun. And like I know once we come out of this, we're gonna be better people. Like we have to.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying about dealing with ourselves. Like I was telling someone, for me, I've always had like outlets. Like if I'm feeling stressed, I'll go to the beach or I'll go here or go on a hike, and it's like none of those things are there, and I really have to sit with all of these feelings. And
Hmm.
I'm enjoying it. I almost feel like a computer where I'm having to update my operating system. Like
Mm.
some things that just don't service my life right now. I have to leave them in the pre-Rona days.
Yeah, that's funny. I can relate because I've had a lot of downtime, so I've thrown out a lot of stuff that I don't need.
Yeah,
And like I'm like, yo, I'm never using this. And like I got rid of a lot of records that I'll never play. And I kept only the stuff I love. And it's just like it's like spring cleaning for the mind, but also like physical spring cleaning too.
yeah, yeah,
So you just get rid of the things you don't need. Yeah, and it feels good. And I feel like my place has lost weight.
yeah.
So
That's a good thing.
yeah.
That's a good thing. What do
Yeah,
you
man.
what do you miss most, if anything?
Oh yeah, Korean barbecue. Um, straight up, that's like the first place I'm going to is K-Town. I miss Korean barbecue, but not so much. I mean, the food is amazing. It's all you can eat for $20. Rolled the Soul
Right.
off Western and Olympic. Shout out to them. But
Okay.
it's the people, it's the camaraderie, it's different cultures. It's the Korean lady that slaps my hand when I try to cook the meat, and it's just this rhythm that we have that we were so unaware of. I remember going to China and like there are no red lights. It's a madness. It's a chaos. And I realized like, wow, we kind of have that in society where we have chaos, but we're all understanding and it's invisible. It's an invisible rhythm. And
Yeah.
I miss that. And now like once we're all out, I feel like we're gonna have that invisible rhythm. I can't wait to DJ and have people come in and we get back into that natural rhythm of things and people going out and people bumping into each other. Although I don't miss New York. New York people are always bumping into me and it's like, geez, that's a violation of space there. But that's why I love Cali. It's like everything's so spread out.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. What about you? What do you miss? I'm curious.
I probably miss the beach more than anything. Um,
Mm,
it's just it's my spot. I could spend
mm-hmm,
all day at the beach. I could read at the beach, write, or just be,
mm-hmm.
And Venice
Yeah.
is my beach. Um,
Yeah.
Funny, when I first moved to LA, like Malibu was the place to go. I went to school in Santa Monica, so I was in Santa Monica all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
like in the last couple of years, some about Venice, once you get off the boardwalk and go onto the beach, like there's just this magical feeling about it. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah. 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 Me too, man. I'm starting to wake up and like I'll meditate or do some yoga over on the beach. I found this really nice piece of concrete that's like between the boardwalk and the water, and it's like I could lay my mat out and just chill. And it was the day after Bill Withers passed, man. I sat there and I was just listening to his music and like watching the sun come up. And this is like something like 20 years ago, I'd be like, yo, this is what old people do. And then now I'm doing it, and it's like I'm watching the sunrise and I'm drinking coffee. It's like I'm in a Viagra commercial where they tell you the repercussions. Like there I am on the beach, and it's like I don't care. I love it. It's about balance and just breathing, I guess. So it's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
That's cool, man. How is it out there though, like in Venice? Because I haven't been out there since all of this.
Whew, it's wild, man. I love it. There's a huge homeless population,
And that's what I was
and
gonna ask, because I
mhm.
connected with a couple of artists out there, and I just was curious how things are going for them, you know.
Well, there's nobody there, so there are no street vendors. There are cops that are patrolling, and they're like kicking everybody off. If they see you running by yourself, they're cool. Like I walk my dog, and they smile, they wave. But like if you're like in a group of two or three, they're like, "Yo, like what are you doing here? Get out of here!" And it's weird. Like I've heard homeless people walking by yelling conspiracy theories, like this is all fake. They're just trying to get rid of the homeless population. And I was like, "Yo, like what the fuck?" But also, I think I'm wondering, like, where does the homeless population go? Like, because if they're not able to get money from people because nobody's out there on a boardwalk, like, how are they feeding themselves? And now it's raining. It's been raining for like 2 weeks. Like, where are they going? I
Yeah.
don't know. So I'm curious to see how that affects the homeless, but also the artists. Like, how do they make their income now? Um, but what I've noticed too with creatives are adapting to technology. I think we always have, but now creatives are starting to realize the monetization of their art through PayPal and through selling stuff online and digitally, which could be the future. But like artists on the boardwalk, they don't get that. They're
Yeah.
just it's very like an old school bartering system, or $5 for that. And I love that. There's something organic about that. But like, how do they adapt? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. I know once we are able to go back outside, and once, some of the artists start going back outside, what I really wanted to do, I want to do an art walk for, the people that live out there on the boardwalk, and, like kind of
Mhm.
like the downtown art walk, but bringing a bunch of people to come see this art and come buy art, and,
Yeah. That's a good idea. I don't think anybody's ever tried to do that. Like we always have, if you think about it though, like art walks are usually in neighborhoods where there's a like not a union, but there's a camaraderie of businesses. And I don't think the boardwalk has that, at least, you have Abbot Kinney, but that's very like foo-foo, or like
yeah,
downtown LA, and that's foo-foo. But like the there's this autonomy that exists on the boardwalk where it's kind of like they're almost like the farmers who bring
yeah,
in the goods, and there's no camaraderie. Like straight up, like I'll walk my dog at 7 a.m. and they fight. Like I'm box number 42. I'm 42, and I'm just like I was here first, and it's like there can never be an art walk that kind of attitude. This is my plot, and I'm just like yo. But I see, like I've been interviewed about Venice Beach, and I've had people that are like, yo, like, what's it like? And they kind of romanticize Venice. And there's a dark side, like I've
yeah.
I've walked my dog, and my dog stumbled across a dead body. Like this guy overdosed, and my dog was just like licking him. I'm like, yo, get away! And I called 911. And then there are fights, and then there are people like 3 blocks away. This pregnant lady was murdered, maybe 2-3 years ago. Like there's a dark side to Venice, and
Yeah,
so I think
absolutely.
that keeps me very balanced. Like as much as I love it, as much as I love seeing my neighbors, like my guard is up at all times. And I DJ, right? So I get home at 2 or 3 in the morning, and I gotta walk my dogs. So I walk them, and I'm on the defense, and and then the sometimes the scariest looking dudes are really the nicest people, and sometimes the nicest people are the scariest people. So
Yeah,
keep that guard. It's like people in Washington, like they don't look like criminals, but they are.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So
Man, and I have one more question for you, because I always ask all my guests, what is one piece of advice that you've gotten along your journey that you feel like you could share with the listeners?
I think be persistent with your ambitions. Like I've met a lot of people that wanted to get involved in theater but didn't want to sacrifice, or people that wanted to become DJs but didn't have the patience to learn how to blend, how to mix, how to scratch. They wanted to become, they wanted to become Questlove like the next day, and it's like
Right.
it's not the way it works. And I think I saw an interview with Jay-Z. People want to become the end result, but they don't want to put in the work that led to the end result. And I was like, yo, like for real. And another thing in addition to that, but in conjunction with, is that I find myself working for institutions where they want to tap into culture and they don't get culture, but they want a piece of culture, and they'll try to tell you your idea may not work for them, and you should not give up when you hear that, but rather ask why. Because a lot of times, when you have institutions that don't understand culture and they want to profit off culture, you deserve a seat at that table if you're a creative, and your personal experiences can benefit those institutions. So never feel disenfranchised. Understand that wherever you come from, whether you come from a privileged family or you come from no family, you deserve a voice at the table, and you have personal experiences that can benefit those institutions. And I've learned that because I've never felt good enough in some of the institutions I worked in. And yet I'm like, wait a minute, like I'm the one, I work with people, I DJ, I'm in the front lines, like I'm in the trenches, like my voice is just as valuable and I'm just as good enough. And that comes with self-esteem as well. Like, I come from a background where I didn't have self-esteem, and it took some rewiring on my end. And then, now I'm on public radio, and then now I'm mingling next to like big time donors. And I'm like, oh wow, that guy's got money. Like I'm afraid to talk because I don't want to sound stupid. And the reality is I've learned those people want to talk to people like me and you and I, and all of us. Those people sometimes want to know what it's like to be us. And so like what you have to say and what you have to contribute is just as valuable as anybody else, whether it's Kanye or Virgil Abloh and these people that are impacting culture, like they're inspired by us. And, and so we need to understand that we should never be discouraged to speak up in the name of social justice, in the name of new and emerging ideas, and et cetera, et cetera. That's my 2 cents.
Man.
Vote for me. Valadez 2020. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you so much. You don't even know. Like, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate everything that you do. Like, let's definitely stay in touch after this, for real.
Yeah, no, I'm not going anywhere. So yeah, no, I want to hear more about that Stone Cold story. So yeah, no, definitely, definitely. Like I'm not going anywhere, and yeah, man, I definitely love to stay in touch. And I'm inspired by you and your journey and what you're doing. And what I always tell people is never let like your views or your metrics discourage you. Like if you have 5 people that listen to this podcast, I'd rather have 5 people that truly care than 1,000 people that just follow and don't care. So like, again, metrics, like those are deceiving. If one person listens to this conversation is like, yo, like these 2 are amazing, or like, I love what they're talking about, or I can relate, then it's done its service. And don't be discouraged if your metrics are low, because it's all about that one person or 2 people, or even me and you, even you and I, like, absolutely, this is all that matters. So yeah.
Man, where can people find you?
In Venice. It's easy. It's my Twitter, my Instagram are at Anthony Valadez, Valadez, Anthony Valadez. Also weekends on KCRW is where I do my radio show, 89.9 FM in LA. And yeah, and then it's funny because people do like, they see me on the boardwalk and they're like, Anthony, or they know my dog. My dog is on Instagram. They're like, Smedley. I'm like, how do you know my dog? And they're like, Instagram. Oh, okay. It's weird, man. 2020 is weird.
Yeah. Welcome to the future.
So, yeah, thanks. Thanks, kiddo. But yeah, man, let's definitely stay in touch. Good luck with the podcast and keep it going. Don't stop. And keep, because you're going to find people that can relate to your situations and your story. And that's how you build your base, not by trying to compete with, what's already out there. Like just build your base. And then I still have this really cool philosophy that I'll share with you before I talk way too much.
No, you're fine.
And this is almost like a business thing that I've learned, but most importantly, it's an earthy, organic thing, is that people will remember how you made them feel during crises. So like on 9/11, I remember the artists that I followed and how they made me feel. And Saul Williams had like some amazing poetry, and like that will forever stay with me. And people will remember how you made them feel during these times. And if you can make people feel good during this pandemic, you're going to have a loyal base that'll follow you post-pandemic. So there's value to what you're doing right now, and keep doing it.
Man, I appreciate that so much. I do.
Cool. That's all I got, kid.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
guys for
man.
listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go. And that's the show.
Peace. Hey, peace. Let go.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of The Art of Letting Go. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to this podcast and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let other people know what you think as well. If you want to get in touch with us, hit us up on all social media at The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Also, you can send me an email, theartoflettinggopodcast@gmail.com, or give us a call. Leave a message. We might play it on the show. 213-394-2773. Also, if you would like to support The Art of Letting Go, we got some really cool merch, as well as we're now on Patreon. You can find us, The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Subscribe to us. Thank you guys for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go.